So our next speaker, even though he holds a physical education and health degree and is a former fitness director with the Chicago YMCA, this father didn't know. What he didn't know almost killed his son. Please welcome up Ron Krueger. Let's go beyond GMO.
Can you hear me in the back okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you about my son. My son's name is Austin. When he was a freshman in high school, he came down with something called Klein-Levin syndrome. It's a neurological disorder. Basically, it manifests itself in such a way that for 10-day periods of time, it's like he's in a sleepwalk, but it's like a coma at the same time. He didn't remember anything for any of the 10 days, and he was functioning. He couldn't remember anything. It would happen 3 to 4 times a year. Went on his entire high school career. He still functioned good enough. He was a National Honor Society student. He was a champion athlete, basketball player, ripped abs, in incredible shape. What happened was they told us that there was a 25% chance that by the time he was 22 he would die. He didn't. He survived. Okay. He goes into college his freshman year, and he has a minor stroke. They identify a brain tumor that is inoperable. Okay? We ended up making some dietary changes. I did not know about GMO at the time. I didn't know about those things. I still didn't learn about it at that time yet. Nobody had gotten to me with that message, but we started to make some changes. It started to shrink. After 8 months it was gone, and the doctors could not explain, and they didn't even care to know what we had done. They didn't even know. Didn't want to know. Okay? So he goes through his sophomore, junior year in college. June 11th of 2007 at 8:15 in the evening, my son suffered a massive stroke, an aneurysm that has left him crippled. He has a brace on his left leg and a left arm and a left hand that do not work anymore. His life is forever altered. He's doing everything he can, and I'm so proud of him, to turn misery into a life message. This can happen to anybody. And I'm telling you again, my son was in extremely good shape. I'm 60 years of age. I'm in pretty good shape. I was teaching my son things, okay? But nonetheless, I can't teach him what I don't know. We literally pay over $2 trillion for health care in this country. What are we mostly getting? We're mostly getting death. 2/3 of the American public will die of the fatal 4 diseases of heart attack, right? Stroke, diabetes, and cancer. Over 64 countries, as was mentioned here a moment ago, ban GMOs, or they require labeling. Here in this country, they don't. We have been betrayed by the Food and Drug Administration by not getting the word out. And we're being poisoned for profit. Say it with me, poisoned for profit. Ladies and gentlemen, people in this country are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health. And then we're treated by the health industry that pays no attention whatsoever to food. Who the heck can we trust? To increase crop yields, what happens, and to get the most out of their acreage, big agriculture, they will plant crops containing genetically modified organisms, all right, that are resistant to insects and all the critters. Yes, here's the positive, the good news. Yes, it keeps the critters away. Here's the bad news. It infects our foods with chemicals. Now, one of the other byproducts of this is this. The soil becomes nutrient depleted. The plants cannot draw out the way that they need to, so we're eating foods that are weakened. We can't get the nutrients we need. So what does our body do? Our brain signals to our body that it's hungry, and we eat more. But what it's really hungry for is not food, it's hungry for the nutrients. That's what the body knows it needs. It's not getting the nutrients. So what do? We continue to eat, and we overeat. We are literally eating ourselves to death. 2/3 of the American public are overweight and trying to lose it. 1/3 of the American public is clinically obese. 2/3 of the American public, every man, every woman, every child, are on prescription meds. 200 million people. And one of the reasons for that, ladies and gentlemen, is because of a medical term called body burden. Our bodies literally accumulate the chemicals from the things that we drink, the air that we breathe, and the foods that we eat that are tainted with these chemicals. And the body stores it in the muscular tissue, in the ligaments, in the tendons, and the body organs. And ladies and gentlemen, we end up going on prescription meds very quickly. This is pertinent to know and relevant to understand. How many of you have ever known anybody? Now, many of you in this crowd are young, so this may not be relevant for you. But those of you that are, let's say, older than 40, I'm 60, but over than 40, you might have experienced this. How many of you know somebody that you see them one day and everything's fine, they're saying they're just fine, 60 days to 90 days later you find out they passed away and they were not hit by a truck? Has that happened? Here's why that happened all of a sudden. You find out they had cancer, they had a heart attack, they had a stroke. Okay? Here's what happens. The 4 stages of disease are this. First, the seed stage. It's in you, but you don't even know it. You've got a body burden, don't you? Second stage, it's the sprout stage. That's where, the root stage. It's starting to grow, but it's under the surface and you don't really know it's there. Okay? As a matter of fact, if you go have a physical, they might not even catch anything because they're not looking for it. See, they call that stuff incidental findings because it's not what they were looking for. The third stage, ladies and gentlemen, is the sprout stage. This is where you can start to feel it or you can start to see it. So you go to the doctor, and what do they probably do? They give you a prescription med. That's what they do. Okay? Stage 4, the harvest stage. This is where it gets good. They tell you, okay, if that wasn't a temporary med, you're on these meds for life. Anybody know that anybody that's on meds for life? Yeah, you betcha. There is a book out called Our Daily Meds. I like to call it Give Us This Day Our Daily Meds. And the picture has a bowl on it with a spoon. It's like breakfast cereal. There are many people in this country, ladies and gentlemen, that are literally consuming 5 or more prescription meds. Now, if that person fell back here, or if you were hit by a tree, you might need one for inflammation. Okay? All right, so here's the deal. The result, when all of this happens with that body burden, the 4th stage, it's prescription meds or it's surgery. Doctors love to heal with steel, don't they? Yeah. That's a big payday for them. The other kind of harvest you can get, ladies and gentlemen, is death. And that's what happens all too often. Genetically modified foods, ladies and gentlemen, and GMOs, genetically modified organisms, are plants and animals that have been created through gene splicing. The merger of DNA from different species to make a new one. Okay? So it can grow faster, and it's oblivious or impervious to the effect of insects and various critters. Now, some experts equate GMO with genetic roulette. He was mentioned a little while ago. There's a gentleman named Jeffrey Smith who's written the book Genetic Roulette, the documented health risks of genetically modified foods. The documented health risks of genetically modified foods. But see, what you don't know can hurt you. You may think that ignorance is bliss. That's what I thought. And now I have a son that's disabled for life. All because I didn't know. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't. Seeds of Deception is another one, also by Jeffrey Smith. Thank you very much. Here's the other thing I want to share with you as I close up here. There is a malnutrition pandemic going on. Yes, do we want healthy foods? Absolutely. You have to seek choices that are from local growers. The gentleman that I work with a man named Jordan Rubin. Okay? Many people know him, 22 best-selling books, 5 million books in print. He had Crohn's disease, almost died of it at 19, and then he learned how to eat healthy using a biblical diet. His first book was The Maker's Diet. It's made him famous around the world. He's a very humble man. I also work with a man named Dr. Joel Wallach, who founded a company. He did the research on the nutritional decline in the foods. These two guys have now joined together. They've partnered together. We're offering some free information and some things, and I'll make available to you all these things I've shared with you. I'll send it out to you in an email. In just a moment, I'm going to ask you folks to just make a comment. I'm going to ask you to wave, because we're going to post this on our international website. Okay? We're pretty excited about it. Bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, in this country, you and your children are being poisoned for profit by Monsanto and these grocery manufacturing companies. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to just stand for a moment. I'm going to have the gentleman that's with me just capture this. It's for our video, and we finish with this. And I want you to say, poison for profit, no more. Live beyond organic. So if you would, go ahead. Say it with me. Poison for profit, no more. No more GMOs. Live beyond organic.
Live beyond organic.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.